I am happy to have Automotive Seminars as a sponsor for the show. Now, if you're not familiar, Automotive Seminars is a diagnostic technician training company. They've got a website that there'll be a link to in the show notes. And what they offer is top-notch training to technicians like us in the field. I've been taking their training courses for years and have got a ton of benefit out of it. They've got top-notch instructors, John Thornton, Scott Shotton, Scott Manna, and every other month they've got a 2-night course that you can sign up for. Join in, ask questions, and afterwards, you've paid for the course, you can access a recorded version whenever you want. You can rewatch the class 2 years later in case you wanted some details on it, and that is a fantastic feature. So make sure to check out the website to see what courses they have available and what's coming up in the future. This podcast is brought to you by Jarhead Diagnostics. Jarhead Diagnostics manufactures in-house diagnostic equipment and storage solutions, as well as distributes for companies like Pico, ATS, and TopDon. One of my favorite tools that I've bought from Brandon and Jarhead Diag is the case for the U-Scope. If you don't have a U-Scope, you probably should, but if you have one, you got to get one of these 3D printed cases, has a magnet on it, has a full-size BNC lead that you can connect to, and it gets rid of the weak point of that scope, which is the mini BNC connection, which is pretty fragile. This case makes this thing nice and secure and makes it an even better tool than it was. So check out jarheaddiag.com. The link is in the show notes. This episode is brought to you by L1 Automotive Training and Keith Perkins. If you're looking for education on module programming, J2534, EEPROM work, key and immobilizer, electrical diagnostics, or drivability diagnostics, Keith has a website, l1training.com, that's got over 60 hours of training videos on all those subjects and more. When I first started out doing mobile, I utilized Keith's videos on module programming in J2534 in order to get my head wrapped around what I would need for the tooling, the computers, the software setups, what kind of obstacles I would be up against when I'm out there programming modules on cars. And it was a huge benefit to me. And I continue to use the training videos that he has on his website. So I strongly recommend checking out l1training.com. We have got Auto Rescue Tools and Isaac Rodell as a sponsor for this podcast. Hey guys, if you're looking for programming laptops, you want the laptop set up ready to go for programming control modules on vehicles, you need key cutting equipment, you need diagnostic tools, Isaac is your guy. Has all that stuff available for purchase, and the support that he offers along with the purchase has been outstanding. I bought some stuff from him in the past. I got my Dolphin key cutting tool from him several years back. And again, the support has been phenomenal. Helped me out along the way with anything additional I needed to make it work for me. Also, for the month of June 2023, they've got Autel updates for sale. So make sure to check that out as well. Again, that's autorescuetools.com. The link will be in the show notes. Welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. We're going to explore ways to sharpen our diagnostic skills, find learning resources, and hear from experts in the automotive field. Hey, what's going on, automotive world? Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. My name is Sean Tipping. I'm going to be your host for today's episode. I've got another recording from ASTE in North Carolina. Holy cow, I talked to a whole bunch of people there, so we're still pumping out these recordings, but all of them are great, including this one. I really enjoyed getting to talk to Kip Nuesch. He is with
Advanced Auto Parts, deals a lot with scan tool research and development, along with a few other things. He's got a lot of experience in the field, and that's going to be the main focus of our conversation, is a lot of the scan tool stuff. We'll get into ADAS a little bit, parts a little bit, and some overall industry talk. But I really appreciated getting to sit down with Kip. Really nice to meet him, because I think I'd interacted with him online previous to the conference, but got to know him a little bit here. So with that out of the way, let's jump right in.
Kip, what's your last name? I didn't catch that.
Nuesch.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And you work for Advanced
Auto Parts in CarQuest. Yep.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been here 5 years.
Okay.
A little over 5 years.
All right. Prior to that,
I used to manage a small chain of auto parts stores.
okay.
That's kind of where I got into the scan tool game. I really wanted to help technicians work on some of the cars I couldn't talk to like 25 years ago. The Europeans, we didn't really have a great selection of diagnostic tools. So I was kind of stuck selling $79 rack and pinions on Chevy Luminous rather than $650, rack and pinions for BMWs. I was like,
okay.
That was my angle back then.
I gotcha.
Yep.
So that just led you towards getting more into scan tool side of things.
Yeah. So, what scan tools were really available back then? You had the brick and you had OTC. And so I started to look, east or west to the Chinese product to see what they had available. And that's kind of where I hooked on with launch.
Okay.
I got intimate with the first generation X431, which I think everybody has bad dreams about.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't even know that they were around back then.
Yeah, since 1992, actually.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. It must have just been, like you say, more over in China and
correct.
Stuff like
that was, yeah, for sure.
Because that was the thing. Yeah, that's all you could do is we had Snap-on red brick, and then we had the OTC Genesis.
That's right.
And then they got us, this was a little later on, but they got us the OTC Pegasus next, which
Ouch.
was so bad. It was the worst tool. I hated that thing so much. And that's what actually got me to get an Autel MaxiDOS, because I never had my own scan tool as a tech. I was just at Firestone, and I hated that thing. I wanted to throw it out in the street because it would always freeze up, and then the touchscreen didn't work. Nothing worked right the way it was supposed to. So I went out and I got an Autel, and then that was, to me at the time, the greatest thing ever.
It really provided experience. I mean, with any technology, the evolution of we're gonna hit those speed bumps, and OTC is a great company, and the Pegasus was not one of their better products. I'm sure they'll tell you, but I think the Bosch product is a nice quality product. I think the Autel and Launch also offers a little something different, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, it all depends on what you're after as a shop and what you're working on and stuff like that. So you got in with Launch. Did you work with them, or? So
I partnered to be one of the distributors on the East Coast.
Okay.
And I did some repairs for them. And I found myself repairing like power buttons on the Launch Diagon as well as the OTC Genesis. So I really got whatever we sold, we really wanted to own. We hated sending tools back as a parts house, and then they kind of go off into a repair or warranty center that we never heard about. So I really kind of just said, I'm going to do this myself, and I ordered the parts in. I was, I just kind of really owned the experience. Like I thought that was appropriate.
Okay. Awesome. And then that led you into what you're doing now?
Well, we sold our small chain of auto parts stores. I didn't own it. I was one of the managers there, and we sold out to a bigger corporation, and I'm somebody who worked at Advance said, Kip, are you interested? I think you do really great here. I'm like, it's corporate. I don't know if I want to go in that direction. He goes, no, it's not what you think. And he was right. Like, it's a great company to work for. Okay. And I was a commercial account manager when I started, and I was selling a lot of scan tools, and leadership recognized, oh, you have a skill set. That's pretty cool. Let's create a job that fits you. And I thought that was huge. Like that was, corporations saw me for what I thought good at. And, it was funny because when I took on Launch, I thought I was really bad at it. I'm like, oh, this tool's junk, and it's not. And I figured out when I came to Advance, like, wow, on a bigger platform, I really have some product knowledge that really isn't that well known out there, and I can share that with everybody.
Okay. So when you were selling tools, were you selling directly to a shop or owner?
So as a commercial account manager at Advance, we get like 6 to 10 stores as and then we go out, we solicit parts, and, we take care of customers and do lots of stuff, not just sell parts. We full account management. And I thought talking about scan tools would be the way I differentiate myself from the other parts houses. Mm-hmm. And it really just took off from there. And, I had a jump start because I started with the launch thing. And, obviously with the backing of Advanced Auto Parts, I got the access to a lot of the manufacturers that on a whole new level that I never had before.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose you have that corporate backing, ins where you wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah, that's a way to occur for me as well. It's like, wow, I can get a lot more done faster.
Okay. So now what you're doing as far as like research and stuff.
So what I do, is really kind of listening to the technician in another level, right?
Okay.
The tools come as they are, but what my experience is, regardless if it's Autel, Launcher, whoever, they're really interested in developing a scan tool for the technician. They don't want to just send us a product and say, hey, here it is. They really want to listen. We need to know what technicians really need out there. Okay. And the best way to get it is to I get challenged with the most impossible cars. And I'm not a day-to-day technician, but I am, I think I'm a good listener, and I like to take that information back and I say, Autel or Launch, this is what we really need. Okay. And to me, Autel has been one of the fastest moving companies. Obviously they love to develop their product. They're great with feedback. Even though Launch has been around a little bit longer, I think they're kind of getting back into the game. But I think they're really great products for us.
Okay. Yeah, Autel always seems to have an answer, a solution for something that's out there. They just keep popping out with stuff. Does it always work? No, not exactly, but they always seem to have something.
They're pushing the envelope.
Right. Like, oh, here's some EEPROM stuff. Here's some immobilizer stuff. Here's the JBox stuff. Like, it's always, it just keeps coming. And like I said, yeah, they've got their limitations. They got their holes, just like everybody. But they've always been kind of tip of the spear on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, topology for everyone.
Yeah, right. I've just been playing around with that, and that's really cool to see the topology thing. So when you're going in and doing this stuff, what's one of the most common complaints or requests you hear from technicians as far as scan tools go?
Well, I think we've relied on our scan tools. Well, I want to speak for the majority. Sure. I think the feedback I get is we want our scan tool to just do things. Like if the process is I need to program this module, I just want the scan tool to do it. I get that it comes with a JBox, and do I have to use a laptop?
Right.
Why do I have to? Why can't I just do it? And there's a little bit of that education that would probably benefit a lot of technicians out there. And luckily we have that available, through CTI and actually what we're doing this weekend. That's probably what I hear the most is, taking the programming to an automated process rather than learning all the different ways the manufacturer wants us to do it. Unfortunately, we haven't overcome that yet.
Sure. Well, I know Autel's working on their remote programming setup. So that's leaning into that because you're plugged in with your scan tool, and I would imagine you probably have to put a voltage maintainer on it, but otherwise you're relying on somebody else. You hit a button and then somebody else takes care of.
I love how it's peer to peer, business to business, independent to independent. You guys can all support each other. We got 540 people downstairs, training this weekend to learn more about their craft. And now we can leverage that, partner to partner, because we go off, after this weekend, we're going to go home. We'll work remotely and socially, but, it'd be a great way we could actually use our skills from one location to the other without anybody else involved. Okay.
So you take all this information and then what's the process to transfer that to an actual tool manufacturer? Are you writing out reports? Do you speak with people directly, or how does that get across?
Obviously email, a lot of calls, a lot of communication. Commitment. Like, hey, if you build this feature, my commitment is I sell a lot more of your tools. And I keep my word behind that. And there's been most times I win and sometimes I don't, Sure. But the idea is, because sometimes I think of things and the market's just not ready for them. And then 5 years later, it's like, oh, there's that thing I was talking about 5 years ago.
Do you have an example of that, if you don't mind? I'm curious.
It's interesting. When TPMS first came out, it sounds so remedial. it feels like 20 years ago at this point. And I went out and people were like, TPMS, you got 10 heads. I don't need to know about that yet. And just today, I had a guy who had TPMS issues. He calls me and I'm like, I'm still talking about TPMS. I cannot believe it. Not everything on the vehicle is easy, but some of the stuff we're learning downstairs, it's all about, programming and ADAS and 48 volt, diagnostics. And I can't forget, that there's people on all different areas of their training and development. We got to keep supporting those people.
Yep.
But yeah, there's, sometimes we're ahead of like ADAS, when I first started pushing it, people are like, oh, those cars aren't here. These cars have been here a long time.
Yeah.
And, the group downstairs is well aware of that. And those who train, who couldn't make it this weekend, they know it as well. And there's a good majority of the U.S. that really isn't buying into it just yet.
Right. Yeah. Cars are going out the door. Oh, there wasn't a light on, but yeah, it's not calibrated or anything like that.
For sure.
And they probably don't have the means to do it. But yeah, it is crazy when you look at some of these things. When you look at the earliest versions of it, like even TPMS, I remember an early 90s Corvette with TPMS on it, right? That's obviously ahead of the game, but some of this stuff's been around for a long time. Same with ADAS. The other day I had like 2008 Infinity or something like that had a radar in the front bumper, and in 2008, I had no clue that any of that even existed. But yeah, if you go back, you can see early examples of it.
I think the 2000 Cadillac with night vision is the first one we could actually see.
Okay.
Right. I mean, there's some before that, like the 98 Escalade, we couldn't see it.
Sure.
The old 95 Sentra, we couldn't see it on there, but they were testing out stuff back then.
Okay. Does Launch have ADAS stuff?
They do.
They do.
Yeah, they have a great product out there. I got to tell you, every aftermarket ADAS system, in my opinion, just the equipment structure, in my opinion, I think superior to the OE. They have a unified structure for those who aren't getting into ADAS.
Yeah. One
way to take all the way the OE's doing it and one uniform way to deliver it. Now, that's a general statement, so there's going to be your nuances. When I look at Autel, being in the field virtually 5 years, there's some trial and error there, but they have, I think, the most one. I think I did a direct comparison. They have the most targets available.
Okay.
Of the known targets, they offer almost all of them because they also have the instructions on where to place those targets at 99.9% of those scenarios. Some of the other companies, they don't have as many targets. And a lot of it has to do is they don't have the direct information where to place the targets. Okay. So, and we know, if you don't have the target, you can't do the calibration.
Right.
It's that simple, you know? So if you see some of these packages with 20 targets and there's 60 known targets, how do they explain for those, for those missing coverages?
I gotcha. I might be wrong here, but doesn't Autel, they can link with the Hunter alignment racks too or something like that?
So yeah, when it first came out, Hunter had a camera package for about $3,500 that really allowed the interface of the Hunter aligner to line up the Autel frame.
Oh, okay.
And, like any great company, Hunter, that they developed a partnership, they wanted to be able to rebrand the scan tool. So when you get the Hunter, it's really a Bosch machine. I think we all know that. And the scan tool, even though it's red and says Hunter, it's the Bosch scan tool. It's not a bad scan tool. I think that target package comes with about 30 targets.
Okay.
Bosch, they're no joke. I mean, they make a lot of the OE tools. But I think there's a lot of OE proprietary information, like the Toyota AVM on the 2019 Toyota Avalon. That target's proprietary. And I don't know if Bosch is going to offer it. They would be better. So far, I don't know if they're going to, is what they told me.
I've seen a lot of guys actually printing the targets off onto a piece of paper or something and then creating their own stand. I don't know how legit or not legit that is, but I've seen that done.
But it's time consuming.
Sure.
We can do an alignment with strings, but we use tools to make us do it faster so we can charge the full amount and do it faster, more accurately, be able to document it.
There's space restrictions too on some of that stuff. I know, like I'm thinking of like a Ford with the 360 camera. I saw a picture of somebody doing it, and you need a lot of space. In order
40
to do
by
that.
25 to be vague, but it's large.
Yeah.
And that's not for everybody.
Right. I mean, it almost makes you think like specializing. It's going to be more common in the future. Like there'll be a dedicated ADAS center or something like that.
Well, I think of it in a new way. It's a turnkey business.
Okay.
You spend $35,000, $40,000 on, an ADAS setup. You get a great scan tool, you get the instructions, you get all the targets. Now, we're talking about just calibrating ADAS. We're not talking about diagnosing ADAS issues. Now, that'll cover a majority of your work. Now, any great technician will tell you a lot of times you'll need a factory tool to put into calibration mode. You could still use an Autel target, but for example, but you may need a factory tool to actually complete that calibration. And for any new targets that come out, you may be going back to the dealer until the aftermarket provides a solution.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts? Because obviously you got some experience with this stuff. The dynamic versus the passive calibration. So whether the car does it itself or you need to use targets.
Dynamic or static, sure.
Static, that's the word I was looking for.
I knew it.
Do you see one being more common in the future?
I don't, because it could go both ways. If you're in the city or, you're in Alaska, you're going to have environmental issues.
Sure. Yeah.
If you're in the country and there's no objects on the side of the road, you're going to have issues. I really see an option to choose either or. Listen, I think the engineers and people like Scott Brown are going to give you probably a better answer than that. But the way I see it, it would make sense they have both options available. But I think no matter what, it's always going to be a manual process, something where a professional has to interrupt and say, is this car ready to be calibrated? Like if we have, if there's an issue with a ride height or if there is, the front bumper's been compromised, mm-hmm. We don't want the car just going out to calibrate itself. We don't want to have somebody in the car on their telematics unit putting the car into calibration mode. I think we need a technician to qualify, hey, this car should be calibrated, or no, this needs to be repaired before you calibrate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Gotcha. As you're integrating some of these things into the tooling, do you guys do training on the scan tools as well? Or?
Yeah. So in light of this past 18 months, I've really transformed like everybody. I have a pretty good setup at home where anybody who buys a scan tool from me, I want to provide them an orientation, navigation, and further support. Yeah, they could call tech support. Uh-huh. Tech support at every company is overloaded. Everybody's overloaded.
Yep.
But I think it's important, at Advance, I want to make sure that our customers have a great experience. I want to make sure they get the most out of their scan tool. If hopefully they see the value in that, and maybe they want to buy their parts from us. That we want to be the total solutions provider. It's why we offer CTI and so many other programs to really help independent technicians and shops get ahead. So when it comes to scan tools, I do a lot of that remotely unless I'm in the area. Or when it comes to ADAS, I like to provide setup and training. Right. Sometimes I partner with the manufacturer. Otherwise, I'm going to be accountable myself. There's a scenario I have to go down to Alabama next week to do a setup and training because it's the right thing for the customer.
Okay.
And I think it's great that Advance, supports that in the right scenarios.
Yeah, definitely. It's huge to be able to, talk with somebody directly when you're trying to figure something out, trying to learn it. And yes, you could call tech support, but you don't really know the other person on the other side of the line, or you're sitting on hold forever. Maybe the person there doesn't have like actual technical experience with it. They're trained to follow their own flow chart and try to help you through this problem. Sure. But to get somebody who actually has some background in it, sells the tools, understands how they work, that's extremely beneficial it's part of what you're purchasing as the tool, right? So like if I buy something from Amazon, right? And I've done that, bought scan tools off Amazon,
Sure.
Oh, sweet. This is a good deal. But I understand that if I need help with this thing, like it ain't going to happen or it ain't going to happen easy to get assistance with this. And some people do miss out on that. Like I said, I know I have in the past that there's an advantage to buying from somebody that you trust, that Yeah,
it's what we try and provide. We have 550 commercial account managers. and they got lots of tasks. Whatever you want for your business, they're there to help you with. But then they have also a whole background, a whole team behind them of specialists who kind of support them in those extra level needs. I think what's always what's next, right?
Yeah.
We talked about scan tools. We really didn't get to key programming yet. We did ADAS. I think EV,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. What, how much experience do you have with that?
I don't have Isaac experience, but I got some experience.
Who does?
Well, again, me being an expert in the actual system, I have to be familiar, right? I have to really listen to and trust experts and create a network to be able to develop tools for you guys to talk to them. For example, the Autel has Tesla in their tablet now.
I saw that. That's
The
pretty
cables,
cool.
the cables just landed in the US.
Okay.
$129 for the set. And now we're going to really put that tool to the test to see what it does on Tesla.
Yeah.
And it's a community where we just find this information out, so I just need to get them out there, so we can develop that side of the tool and, and see what do we need to fill, in the 48 volt diagnostic area.
Sure. I saw Dave Hobbs is doing a 48 volt class this weekend, or today actually.
I saw the door open. I was like, I want to peek in there.
Yeah, the Tesla stuff, that's pretty cool. I know a guy who does mobile work for Tesla. He works for them, and he showed me some of the stuff on the laptop that they do. It's pretty crazy the amount that they can do away from the car. But yeah, I'd be excited to mess around with one of those with an Autel. So I'll have to look for that cable and see.
Yeah, and I think with Tesla, I think it's really exciting what they just recently made accessible for the aftermarket technician. And it's probably a direction most people will go in. But I think it's really great when you have these all-in-one scan tools, theoretically, that they are willing to add that. Like, they're willing to kind of throw it out there like, hey, we do EV. All right, let's see what you can do, right? And I applaud that kind of effort rather than running away from it.
Yep. So I'm up in the Twin Cities, and Seth Thorson has Eurotech up there. It's 3 or 4 shops now, and he has been doing Tesla service for a while now, and they'll actually rebuild the motors and stuff like that. But that's what you're saying. It's really impressive, the initiative to take that on when, as far as I knew before, you couldn't even buy parts for them. Like, everything is locked down, but he was making it happen. It's pretty cool to see that somebody's out there making a solution.
When there's when the market demands more support and service, it was bound to happen. It's great they could capitalize on it, but I think as they sell more cars, they're going to need more support. So, developing certified Tesla repair centers is, I think, inevitable, and making sure we get the right guys to do it is going to be key. That's
the thing, is they have 2 stores now, but that's, I think, all of Minnesota is the 2 stores, right? And so if you got a Tesla and then you drive it up to Duluth, which is a few hours away, what do you do? And they actually had their mobile service. That was the guy that I know that does that. And so it's funny, he drives a Ford Transit around and goes and fixes these Teslas. But he'll do it remotely. He'll go to people and make the repairs. But even still, they're extremely limited. So if you have a Tesla and you want to get in for repair, you got to get on the list, because there's only a couple places where you can bring it. So like you say, it's going to be demanded,
right,
that, hey, we need these things worked on, but I think we're seeing that right now.
Right.
But yeah, you can't be scared of that sort of thing. The EV hybrid stuff. Hybrid's been around for a while, but a lot of people are still scared of it. They don't want to mess with it. I'll send that somewhere else. You got to be able to tackle the new challenges and go to events like this to learn about it. Right.
Yeah. I really, I have a lot of compassion for the shops that, I don't want to do programming. I don't want to do keys. I don't want to do ADAS. I don't want to do EV. I'm like, all right, what do you want to do?
Right.
And I think that also speaks to a little bit of the average age of technician out there. So who's going to support these guys? We have 550 professional commercial account managers that go into these shops weekly. Why not support our team in having that conversation just at a high level, and then really support them in getting into a CTI class to learn more about that segment, add that segment, that revenue stream to their current business. You don't have to take all 5 of those categories on, but maybe take 1 or 2 on.
Sure.
And key programming is getting a little more popular because there's a perceived value. You sell a key, for $250. It's not for everybody, but the customer they're selling it to has a perceived value. It's worth it to them. It's like getting their air conditioning fixed. It's like, oh, I'll pay $250 for my air conditioning, but I won't pay $250 for new brakes on my car. So
yeah, I've always thought that same thing the whole time I was a tech, and they'd have bald tires and, brake pads that are almost gone. And, we don't want to put the money in that, but I need my AC to work.
They got the new Apple Play radio in their car, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was always so profitable as a flat rate tech AC because you knew that they were going to pay to fix it.
That's right.
Outside of a few instances, but up $1,200. Okay, no problem. Compressor, all this stuff. It was always really good work. AC stuff.
$400 for pads and rotors.
Whoa. Yep. It's funny how that works, but yeah, expanding out in other things, it's tough for a shop because they need to understand, or they want to gauge their return on investment, right? Because they're going to invest in something they haven't done. So there's going to have to be training. There's going to be some growing pains with it. And they have to know that they're going to see enough of that. And you have to be intentional about it and make sure that you're marketing yourself to that once you take that on. Otherwise, you buy I've done it myself. I buy a really expensive tool and then it sits there and I don't end up using it. I'm like, why did I buy this thing?
If you talk to some of my customers who've bought 8S, I have that conversation specifically. So listen, I'm not going to sell you 8S until I prove to you you're going to be profitable with it. Some people see an automatic return on investment. You have a body shop that's doing 300 cars a month. Half of those cars needs calibrations. They're charging $300 a calibration, $400 a car, whatever it may be. They're going to see immediate return. It's a no-brainer for those body shops. But what I do, we created a virtual kind of presentation, if you will, just like kind of a, hey, is 8S right for you? We go not only over the equipment. I don't even go over how to use the equipment. I just go over, hey, these are the systems. Here's where you identify your opportunities. And here's all the sensors and technology that make that system possible. And the impact of that system is, the amount of, the least amount of accidents are created from having those safety systems. And then this is why we should be repairing them. And then I go over all the different equipment options. And I say, all right, now think about that. Your homework is, Mr. Customer, go out. If there's a glass guy who's replacing the windshields in your parking lot, ask him, how is he getting his calibrations done? I had one customer who set up, he told his glass guy, you can replace your windshields in these 3 spaces in the back of my parking lot. And then when you do that, I'll do your calibrations for you. The shop wasn't even dealing with the insurance company, and the glass guy was getting it all done in one stop.
That's awesome.
And, then talk to your body shops. Are you doing alignments and AC for body shops? If you are, ask them how they're getting their calibrations done. Ask them if you could have their business.
Sure. Yeah. Well, like 1234YF too. And I am starting to see more, because I do some mobile work, and I am starting to see more shops that have that, but there's still a ton that don't, that are sending it out. That's another thing, you can gear up, you can get the equipment, and then, hey, by the way, I can do this stuff. And it's just a matter of marketing yourself to the right area and saying, hey, I can make your life easier. I can make your life more convenient rather than going this place to this place. I got you covered here. Right.
And I think a lot of body shops, they've had to figure out how to get it done these past, 6-7 years. And I think the mobile mechanics have done a great job providing that convenience. Hey, no, we're going to come to you and do it.
Sure.
That always doesn't work out in the shop's environment, but people are finding a way. Other body shops are a little more inconvenient. They got to take the car back to the dealer, but not every town has that dealer in it. So now you got to figure out how you got to get it back and forth. I look at 8S, it really calibrated car, I don't think is that difficult. Making sure you do it right takes some education. And I think it's a really great opportunity for the mechanical side of the business to really merge with the body side of the business and say, hey, we kind of need each other out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm starting to see more body shops that are looking for auto technician, right? A mechanical side of things to bring in, where that wasn't always the case. They're looking for people that can come in. I work at a community college too for an automotive program, and the body shops are coming to our auto repair course to get students there, where that never really happened before. But I think they're seeing the need for, okay, we need somebody who can do electrical diagnosis and work with, a scan tool beyond a pre and a post scan and things like that. I think they're starting to see the need for it.
Yeah, they treat those guys really well over there.
Right.
Well, you're right. The whole diagnostic, hey, the front end of this car got removed, and now we got to plug some things back in. And yeah, I'm sure the body techs 99% of the time do it great, but when you got to chase down the one that's not done right, you need training to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I've seen their curriculum, and I mean, it's very thorough for the body side of things, right? Stuff like I'd be a terrible body person, right?
Me too.
I don't have that artistic side to me. But they go through all that, but the electrical and the computer side of stuff, it's pretty limited on, if they're an accredited program, what they have to learn in school. It's just real basic stuff. So if they're presented with some of these really complex systems and radar and sensors and things like that, it's just, it's going to be a challenge for them.
It's even a challenge for the people who know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've been talking to a lot of people. I need to actually seek out more body shops for my mobile business, because everybody says it's really good to work with them. They're very easy to work with, and a lot of times ends up being simpler stuff for us, right? Not that, this is just an easy problem.
They're very thankful.
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay. And yeah, we put on this door panel, and the harness is different and all this sort of stuff. But a lot of mobile guys out there find some lucrative business with body shops.
For sure.
I got to go seek some of those out myself.
Yeah, no, there's, and we don't, I like everything. We're figuring it out as we go along. But yeah, that's obviously the body is, when it comes to new technology, cars are impacted in accidents every day, and it's almost like they should be in the classes with us downstairs. A lot of the body guys. We did 2 weeks ago. We did a trade show, an auto body trade show, and hardly anybody showed up. Maybe it was like 300 people at the Meadowlands. That's what it felt like anyway. And I was really kind of discouraged not to see like more classes offered. I don't know if they're doing the iCar program, which I think is pretty good. I've been on their website, the My iCar portal. But really kind of making sure that they come along and have an opportunity to participate in stuff like this.
Yeah, definitely. They actually, so we have an auto body program at the college that I work at, and they had actually tried to shut down the program. The administration did. It's actually just before COVID, so it was a little while ago. But it was actually really cool to see, because the shops, all the local shops around, because the program was full, and there was some questionable reasons for shutting it down that I guess I won't get into, but it didn't really make sense because the program was full, and a lot of the local shops were feeding off of these technicians that are coming through the program. And so all of these local shops came together and like went down to the president's office and was like, you can't shut this program down. This is where we get, our employees from, these students that come out and be technicians. There's a huge need for it. And we were able to save the program from getting closed down, and it's still going right now. So it is cool to see that they recognize, hey, we need new people in this industry that are going through and being educated. So we try to do the best we can to prepare them to get out there and start doing it.
We already have a shortage, like you said, of technicians, and on both sides of the business, body and mechanical. And, you can have a really great career in this industry. And, it's not just for the people who don't want to be lawyers and doctors. It is for the people who want to be lawyers and doctors too. You could have a really rewarding career, fixing problems and just seeing something new all the time. I mean, in the automotive industry, it's always something new for me. And, I really hope other people have the same experience, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. You got anything else?
Well, it's easy to talk about scan tools and ADAS and key programming all the time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm accountable for all tools and equipment in advance. So,
okay.
there's people above me. I have a director for the category. But he kind of defaults to me to put my hands on and give me his opinion on things. Give him my opinion, I should say. So, lifts and tire machines and wheel service. I mean, there's a lot of really cool features out there. And I just, if I were to kind of send a message to a lot of the shops, like there's a lot of really great salespeople that come to your shop every day, and they do their best sometimes to get you the information. But I think once you find that person who's driven by what's best for your business rather than the brand that they're promoting, you're going to get a lot more support in picking the right equipment for your business. At Advance, we sell every brand under the sun, and my commitment is you get the right thing for your business. And, if I can help your business grow, maybe I can get some part sales out of you, So I would encourage them to keep searching for that business partner who really, is not bound to a brand. I mean, obviously I'm an Autel fanboy, but I find a lot of great quality in the Launch, Top Dom, Think Car, Bosch. They all have their place, regardless of our favorites. And, when you find somebody who can speak to that, you're going to make better equipment purchases. They're going to be a better ROI. You're going to be able to do things that you didn't think you could do before because you didn't know the tool could do it. We were just at the Research and Development Center, hanging out with Randy Briggs and Richard Falco, one of my peer partners, Bill Mercer and Dave Rockstro. And I was kind of showing them some functions in the Autel that even they didn't know were there. And I'm like, it's always developing, and we need a village to kind of share this information.
Yeah, it's huge to have that network of people that you can reach out to. And it's funny you say that, like features you didn't even know. For the longest time, I didn't know that Autel had a search bar for the data PIDs. And then I was just talking to somebody and they're like, well, yeah, you just click here and it's a search bar. I'm like, oh, this is so awesome.
You can isolate that high-speed CAN line on the topology report. A lot of people don't know you can do that.
I did not know that either.
We'll show you afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, that network of people is huge because there's always something you don't know.
Yeah. You know what it is? I find myself pigeonholed into the scan tools because we all know that changes every 5 minutes. And it should have changed 5 minutes ago. Lifts, they go up, they go down, but there's some pretty cool features. I think wheel service and alignments, the evolution of that it's been pretty big, and Hunter does a great job marketing theirs. But you get like fantastic companies like Chem and Corgi, Reviglio, like those companies make great quality equipment as well. Some of them are the innovators of that technology, and they offer it in their tools. And sometimes you get it for a better price point out there.
Okay.
But it's about having that representation and support, someone who can give you the answer, someone who's going to come out and service it, all of that. It's not just this machine's better, you should buy it. Because if somebody doesn't come out and support you, then it's going to be a bad experience for everybody.
Yeah. What good is that tool? Awesome. Well, thanks for chatting with me for a while. I
appreciate the invitation. It was so cool, man.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to do it for today's episode. Big thank you to Kip for spending some time during the conference to come talk to me. Really appreciate it and enjoyed that talk quite a bit. Hopefully you did as well. Also want to thank everybody for listening to the podcast. But with that out of the way, let's all get out there and start fixing the world one car at a time.